So here is the cake, and it's perfect for me. The texture is good, it's not too sweet, it's very rich and heavy. And that's how I like my cake. So first step in making fruit cake, you want to prep everything. You want to put all your dry ingredients together and your wet ingredients together, except for the browning. The last thing you want to put in is the browning. And as you know, I use my blender to cream my butter and sugar and eggs, which is much quicker for me. Another thing is that I use 3 cups of flour to 3 cups of fruit. 1 cup of fruit is heavier than 1 cup of flour, and it gave me a 4 pound cake. An ideal measurement also would be 4 cups of fruit to 3 cups of flour. That would give you a 4.5 pound cake. Another thing, when you are blending your fruits, you put 4 cups in the blender, and you want to put your wine and rum just about 2 inches above that in the blender. And if you start blending, if it needs a little more, then you can add more. You don't want to have a lot of liquid in the blended fruits, because you will have to be adding more flour. Also, you want to ensure that when you increase your flour and your fruits, compared to the recipes that I gave you, you want to add more spices. You want to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder to 1 cup of flour. Also, with the eggs, I find that a lot of fruit cakes are very, very eggy. And so 4 eggs work very well for me with my 3 cups of flour. And if you want to add 6 eggs, that is very good also. So you want to prepare everything as I said, and that is how you can get the perfect fruit cake. It's not difficult. Just prepare everything, and then you cream your butter and your sugar. Then you add your eggs, lime juice, and lime rind. And after doing that, then you add your fruits and then your flour. This cake took me about 20 minutes for the mixture, and then maybe another hour for the baking. No need to be in the kitchen very long. Good afternoon. This is Sharon from Everything Beautiful. So today I'll be making a Jamaican fruit cake. And as you know, I break all the rules, but I'm going to be very authentic with this Jamaican fruit cake. And another reason why I'm doing this also is because I know that there are a lot of people out there who are a bit, overwhelmed, you know, with baking the Jamaican fruit cake. They find it a little bit stressful. They're always asking, what's the recipe? So I have some recipes here that I will be showing you. So here is one. Okay. And here is the other one. The key to making a Jamaican fruit cake is to ensure that you have more fruits than flour. You don't want, and I think this one is 6 ounces of breadcrumbs and 6 ounces of flour. Very little flour, very little breadcrumbs. But for me personally, I think I have here 3 cups of blended fruits. So here it is. And I also have 3 cups of flour. Reason why I'm doing this, because I've used this recipe many times. Now, you can use 1 cup of flour to 1 cup of fruit. And if you have your measuring cup, this is where 1 cup is. So there it is. This is one. Now this goes back 60 years, and this one has almost 5 pounds of fruits, no rose water, and no almond flavoring. And I can remember when my mom used to bake back in the day, even when I was 16, which is over 40 years ago, she never used rose water and she never used almond flavoring. Those things were not around. They just used their vanilla, their nutmeg, their cinnamon. So I don't get crazy about baking. I just want to know that I have enough wine and enough fruit and enough spices like the cinnamon, the nutmeg, or the mixed spice to ensure. And once everything is balanced, your cake will definitely turn out very well. So this one has almost, as I said, 5 pounds of fruit, and it only carries ½ pound of breadcrumbs and ½ pound of flour. So you see, another thing I do is I actually blend. I don't mix anymore with my mixer or cream with my hands. I just put everything in the blender. So I won't be using this blender. I'll use the lighter one, which is the plastic one, and I've already added my sugar and my So here it is. I've creamed my butter and my sugar along with my egg in my blender, and this is what it's looking like. I will now add my lime rind and my lime juice. I sifted my flour and now I add my dried ingredients: nutmeg, cinnamon powder, mixed spice, baking powder, and salt to that. And in this, where the fruit is, I add some browning and I add my vanilla. So I add my fruits to my batter. And why I did that, and the browning was in it, so that is why it looks a little bit dark. And the reason for doing that before I add my flour is that sometimes when I try to mix the flour into the butter and the sugar, the batter, it is a little bit too stiff. But having the fruits that actually have a lot of liquid in it, I find that it's easier to fold over. So I will do it now, and as you can see, it was a lot of fruits. It's 3 cups. So when I say I can use 1 cup of fruit to 1 cup of flour, I know what I'm talking about. And another thing is that cutting and folding, and I put in the flour twice, just divide it in 2. That is it. This is the batter, and this is how I like it. Okay, it's very thick, very rich. This is exactly how I like my Jamaican fruit cakes. I put it in really cracked. It came out nicely, and I'll now wet it with some wine and rum. So I've saturated it with some wine and rum.